What if you could have one last conversation with someone you've lost? I don't mean in a spiritual sense. I mean a real conversation with an AI that looks, sounds, and even thinks just like them. It sounds like something straight out of a movie, right? Well, it's not. That future is already here. Just let that sink in for a second. That isn't a prediction. It's not some far-off possibility. That is a real headline from a courtroom in Arizona this year. And if you think that's wild, get this. That quote? That's what the judge in the case had to say about it. This technology isn't just showing up. It's being embraced in the one place you would never, ever expect. So how on earth did we get here? How did a so-called digital ghost end up testifying in a court of law? And what does it mean for all of us? Well, this is the story of Chris Pelkey. He was tragically killed in a road rage incident. His family, they wanted him to be able to speak for himself. So they worked with a company to create an AI avatar of him. And in what we believe is a legal first, this digital version of Chris delivered the victim impact statement, directly addressing his killer, with words of forgiveness. Just an unbelievably powerful and honestly a totally new moment for our justice system. The Pelkey case, it's a huge moment for sure, but it's really just the tip of the iceberg. This is a technology that has kind of quietly been moving from the pages of science fiction into a real and, frankly, a rapidly growing industry. So how did we get here so fast? Okay, first, let's be super clear about what we're actually talking about here. A digital ghost, sometimes it's called a grief bot or a dead bot, is an AI that's built to be a representation of someone who has passed away. The AI is trained on their digital footprint. That's all their emails, their text messages, their social media posts, everything they left behind online, to create a simulation that can copy their personality and the unique way they used to talk. Now, in their simplest form, they can be text-based chatbots, where you're basically just texting back and forth with a simulation of your loved one. But it doesn't stop there. The tech can go way further. It can create voice clones that speak in their exact voice, using old recordings to train the AI. And then you have the most advanced versions. We're talking fully interactive video avatars. It's literally like having a video call with an AI that looks and sounds just like the person you've lost. And just look at how fast this has all evolved. I mean, in 2013, this was just a creepy idea in a Black Mirror episode. A little over 10 years later, these same avatars are showing up in actual courtrooms. That is a breathtakingly fast jump from fiction to reality. But here's the thing. This incredible speed has completely outpaced our laws, our ethics, everything. So let's dive into the really tough questions this technology forces all of us to think about. And the first one, it might be the most personal. Are these digital ghosts a revolutionary new tool for healing our grief, or are they just a harmful way of deceiving ourselves? You've got two very different sides to this. On one hand, you have the argument for comfort. I mean, for centuries, people have kept an ongoing bond with the dead by talking to them at a grief site, right? So maybe a chatbot is just the 21st century version of that. But on the other side, there's a huge risk. These bots could create a dependency, basically locking someone in a state of mourning and stopping them from ever really moving on. It really blurs the line between a healthy coping ritual and a delusion. And that brings us to another massive question, one that affects every single one of us. It's about consent. Who gets to decide if you can be turned into an AI after you're gone? The truth is, most of us have never agreed to this. And legally, things like data protection laws often don't even apply to people who've died. This can cause unbelievable pain. Take the case of the late singer Qiao Renliang. An unauthorized AI of him was created, and it absolutely outraged his family. So now, ethicists are pushing for a mutual consent model. That means the person had to have agreed while they were alive, and the living family member also has to agree to interact with the AI. Okay, and what about dignity? Can an algorithm, can a piece of software really capture the essence of a person without messing up their memory? So, in the best case scenario, a really well-trained bot can be a faithful representation that honors someone's memory. But the worst case? Well, experts call it digital puppetry. A user could literally prompt the AI avatar to say things the real person would never have said, completely violating their dignity. A badly trained AI could even start making up false or offensive things in their name. The risk of getting it wrong is just huge. So with all these risks, you have to wonder, is there a way to do this right?
Well, researchers are actually starting to build an ethical framework for what a good digital ghost could look like.
You can think of it like an ethical checklist. It all starts with pre-mortem intent and mutual consent. Right there, that deals with the consent problem, making sure the person chose this and their family agrees. Then, using limited and transparent data stops companies from just scraping a person's entire digital life without permission. Making it clear that it's an AI helps manage expectations. Having a restricted purpose and family governance is so important. That stops the digital puppetry we were just talking about. And finally, minimal behavioral agency makes sure the AI can't just go rogue and evolve into something the person never was, protecting their legacy.
So it really boils down to two fundamentally different things. On one side, you've got legacy avatars, which are created before someone dies with their explicit permission. On the other side, you have grief bots, which are often made after someone has died by scraping their personal data, usually without any permission at all. Ethically speaking, these two things are worlds apart.
And this all leads us to a much, much bigger question about memory itself. What kind of digital legacy do we actually want to leave behind?
Because let's be honest, we can't ignore the money here. The digital death market is a real and growing industry, and there is a serious risk of companies seeing a chance to exploit people's grief and vulnerability just to make a profit.
So where do we go from here? Well, a totally hands-off, free-for-all market seems way too risky, but an outright ban is probably impossible. So the most likely path forward is some kind of sensible regulation. Creating guardrails to protect human dignity and compassion from just being run over by profit motives.
Look, the era of AI afterlives, it's already here, and it forces every one of us to ask a really fundamental question. Does this technology truly help us remember and heal, or does it just create a beautiful, heartbreaking illusion that holds us back from ever really, truly letting go?